Hello and welcome to my tutorial video about Python virtual environments. Now first things first, the name virtual environment can be misleading because the virtual environment is not actually virtual. It is an abstraction layer that sits between your global operating system's side packages folder and a side packages folder that is required for your local Python program that you're working on. What is the side packages folder? Good question. Essentially, the side packages folder holds all your Python libraries that you installed. You can look at this folder, or at least at the contents of this folder, by executing pip freeze, and you will see a lot of dependencies that are installed on your operating system. Excuse me. Anyway, this is something that you usually try to avoid when you're developing a Python project, because why would you want all these dependencies? I mean, they're not overhead in terms of CPU or memory or something, but reproducibility is important, and you would want the same library, example given PyOpenSSL, on all of your projects. Maybe not, maybe you want a different version on one of your projects, or each of your projects uses a completely different version. So let's just create a new project. We call it projects 1, 2, 3. And in this project we want to create ourselves a Python virtual environment using Python 3. This can be accomplished by typing virtualenv -p space Python 3 space and then the name of the virtual environment. Example given venv. Now don't get me wrong, venv is definitely not the standard name. There is, as far as I know, no standard name. Some people call it .venv, some others call it .virtualenv. I don't know, it's a religious war. I don't care, I just want something short, I want something that is memorable, and I want something that I'm using across all of my projects. If you decide to use a different one, that's completely okay. Just try to stick with one of those names, because if you do have a different name in all of your projects, it's gonna be a mess. Now what does this command do? It just creates a subfolder called venv, and in that subfolder there is a bin folder which has the Python binaries and all other stuff you install for Python. It has a lib folder which has the Python version as a folder and the side package as a subfolder, and it has some other stuff that's not that important. Basically, the bin and the side packages folder are what's important for you, because this is where your current Python file will live. But before we can see this, we will have to activate it. For demonstration purposes, I call which Python, and it will tell me my Python installation lives currently in user bin Python. Now if I activate the virtualenv using source venv/bin/activate, you will see it's activated by having this prefix here in front of the virtualenv name. If I call which Python now, it will tell you we are in the venv bin Python. This is the binary that's using now. And if we call pip freeze, oh, it's empty. Nothing is installed. No system libraries, no other BS. It's completely empty. And if we install, let's say, the requests library, because we want to have a program that does requests, and we call pip freeze, then we see, oh, it's installed certify, it's installed requests, it's installed URL lib3. Okay, cool. And we can now just write a little program, and we can just say import requests and print hello world, and maybe, I don't know, print, I don't know if this actually works. I'm just gonna try. Oh, it works. There we go. We printed hello world and the version of requests. Now let's assume we don't want that version of requests. We have some old project that for whatever reason requires an older version of requests, and we could just write pip install requests equals 2.1. I don't know if that actually exists. Oh, it does. And we do pip freeze, and we see it's installed requests 2.1.0, and if we do python run py, it also says, yeah, 2.1.0. At the same time, the request library is an important part of your system, or it could be an important part of your system. And the request library on your system could be a completely different one. Let's just see what pip freeze tells us about this library. Oh look, on my system it's installed in version 2.7.0. I don't know why. Probably was me, but I don't really know. But that's a completely different version that I require here, and it's not even the latest version. Like, the latest version is 2.18.4. So you see, like, it would be very easy to maintain different versions with virtual environments. That's one benefit of virtual environments. The other benefit of virtual environments is, let's say you want to give your code to your colleague, and you would tell them like, hey, I just wrote this code that downloads YouTube videos and converts them into MP3 files or something like that, and here is the code and you just need to execute it. And that person would probably go like, dude, like, all the libraries, like, what do I need to install? And you would be like, oh, no problem, that's why I have a virtual environment. And you just give them that list, and they would probably start typing pip install certif. Oh no, wait, you don't need to do that. So what would you do? You could just write that list into a file. It's usually called requirements.txt, and you tell your colleague to run this command, pip install -r requirements.txt. Pip will read that file. In our case, everything is already satisfied and installed, and install everything you need. So essentially we've just reduced overhead for persons trying to install our project and use our project. Also, we've added some sort of version management, because that requirements file can be edited. It's clear text. If you say, oh well, I need a different version of my requests library because whatever, you just increase that version and you call pip install -r requirements -upgrade, and it will tell us, oh yeah, the request library needs to be upgraded, and it will do it for us. And if we do pip freeze, there we go, we've got the request library version 2.2.1 as we requested it. So this is a very simple way of managing your virtual environment and managing project dependencies for your Python project, and this is really the way to go. There's a simple reason for people that don't use virtual environments, and it's probably because they've never heard about it, or if they've heard about it, it probably sounds too complicated, and in reality it's not. Let's just assume you want to give that code to somebody and you publish it on GitHub. So you just write yourself your README installation instructions and you tell them like this: create a virtual Python environment using Python 3. And it would be something like this: virtualenv -p Python 3 venv and source venv bin activate. Then it would be like install dependencies. Dependencies. Oh, I can't type today. Sorry. So, and it would be like this: pip install -r requirements.txt. Is it really that hard? I mean, it's like 3 commands and everything else is fine. Alright. Now let's just look at this again. What do we have? We have a README file, we have a requirements file, and we have a run.py. The venv folder, however, this is something that's not to be shared. Like, these 3 files you should share, the venv folder you should not. So if this would live on GitHub, something along the lines of GitHub or GitLab or whatever, you would write a file gitignore and you would put the venv folder into that gitignore file, so you do not commit the venv folder. Why do you not commit the venv folder? Very simple. Look at the venv, I think it was lib site Python 3.4 folder. That has symbolic links to your local userlib Python 3.4 directory. It is not guaranteed that the other user that's installing your library is using Python 3.4 or even has Python 3.4. Maybe that user already has Python 3.5 or Python 3.6 or even Python 3.3. Everything is possible. You cannot guarantee that. Obviously, Python versioning is a different story. I'm not going to go into details here, but bottom line is, this is a static path. Why, you don't just share the VN folder. Let's put it like this. Instead, you share a README and a requirements.txt. And just to provide you some look how this would work, we're deactivating the VN folder. So we are out of the VN folder. We are deleting the VN folder and it's gone. It's a completely fresh folder here, and we're following the README. We're doing these commands here. So let me copy paste them because I'm lazy. And this would also be the way that most people that download your project on GitHub or something would do probably. They would just copy paste these lines. Copy, paste, copy, paste. And then they would be like Python run py, and they would be like, oh cool, it's working already. I don't need to do all this other boilerplate shit that all the other projects and programs require. Because it really shouldn't be hard to install a Python project. Alright, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them in the comments. If you like this tutorial, give me a thumbs up please, and subscribe to my channel for more content coming soon. Thank you, goodbye.